This is a loofah sponge, and this is the same thing that we grew ourselves in our own backyard. In fact, right on this gourd trellis here behind me. It used to be covered in these types of loofahs. And this is one of these same loofah sponges gone to seed. How weird does that look? G'day, I'm Mark from Self-Sufficient Me, and in this video I'm going to explain what happens when a loofah sponge goes to seed. Let's get into it. A loofah sponge is a type of gourd and it's grown on land. A lot of people think that these sponges come from the sea, but that's not true. There are ones that do come from the sea, but they are a different type of sponge altogether. They're an animal that lives on the bottom of the sea floor, and they grow like coral. So they're not technically a plant, they are classed as an animal, although they don't move around. And they provide shelter and also food for plenty of animals. In particular, they're good food for turtles. But decades ago, people found out that they were quite handy also as a sponge to use for us for all sorts of different purposes. This loofah sponge is a different product altogether, and because they're so easy to grow, especially in warmer climates, they are a very sustainable type of product to produce, because you're not really harvesting these from the wild where animals are trying to use them as shelter or as food. You're harvesting them from a farm, and they're a totally natural product. So for those people who are wanting a natural organic product that's not synthetic, that you can wash with, that is biodegradable, well then buying loofah sponges might be for you, or better still, growing them yourself and making your own loofah sponge. Here's a loofah in its rawest form, old and fallen off the vine. We no longer have any loofahs growing at the moment. It's the wrong time of year, but we've pulled them down anyway because they were just getting too prolific and taking over everything. But here's what they look like, and you can just take the skin off them and you can reveal the sponge underneath. Now if you leave one of these out in the normal weather, they will eventually break down. It'll take a long time though, because they are so hard. I can give you a demonstration. Down here, right at my feet, you can see this fibre. That is just being out in the weather, but worse, I've been running over this in my lawnmower and it hardly makes a dent in it. It's so tough and fibrous. It's incredible that such a really hard fibre can be grown in a matter of weeks on a vine as a fruit. And yes, you can eat this. Well, maybe not at this stage. When they're small, they're like a zucchini and they're very nice and delicious. I've even tried eating them bigger than that, but the bigger you go, the harder it is to eat them. And you get to a point where they're about 6 inches long, and even then, they're starting to get too fibrous in the middle. They taste all right, but they're hell chewy. If you left this out into the weather, see all the seeds inside here? They will inevitably germinate. And that's what's happened to that loofah that was left on the ground. Here's a little bit more of that. See how all the seeds are growing out through it? I just saw that as I was picking some chilies, and it's come from last year's growth. Just a fallen loofah off the vine onto the ground, and how it's regrowing itself. And I was just picking some chilies here for dinner tonight, and I just noticed it on the ground there. I just threw it down there. We got plenty of loofah at the moment, but you can see they're popping up here. They look like a pumpkin. They're from the same cucurbit family. And here's our gourd tunnel in all its glory. It's got plenty of hanging gourds all through it now. These all came up naturally from last season, and we're not eating hardly any of them. Like I said, these aren't very nice. They're too bitter for us, and they are called a bitter gourd. They just drop on the ground, they go ripe, not even the animals are eating them. This here is the loofah, the proper loofah, and like I said, if you leave them dry out, they will be a sponge, a loofah sponge that you can buy at the shops or get at the markets already done. Sometimes they're bleached, sometimes they're not. And they're done all organically, just with a bit of rope, and you can use it in the shower. So yeah, given the right conditions, they will germinate inside the loofah sponge itself, crack through, compete with each other, or perhaps several of them will go well and off in different directions and take over wherever it's growing. No doubt it will take over, because boy, they certainly can grow fast, and you can get some nice big sponges if you grow them at home. If you grow them at about this size, this is a bit larger, but to grow them a little smaller and then remove them, I just threw seeds everywhere then, remove them from the vine when they're probably a medium size, you might get a tighter knit. Don't quote me on that, I'm not too sure, I'm just guessing. I have seen that the larger they get, the looser the fibre does become. Having said that, I've washed and used some really large ones. All you need is a little bit of this soap rope around it, and you know, you could sell them at the markets, give them away to family and friends. I just think this is one of the most underrated vine crops out there. Absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Just another thing that you can grow in your backyard and that you can eat, but also let grow on and use for something else, primarily cleaning, having a scrub in the shower. And I think that is fantastic. And if you think it's fantastic, go ahead and grow some. And if you like this video, give me a big loofah thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the video around, because other people might not be aware where these come from and how easy they are to grow, and perhaps they just might like to grow some themselves and turn into cleaning products or whatever they want. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye for now.